It is said that the measure of any society is the way in which it treats the people who are different. Phew. If that's a measure of our society, we've got a bit of measuring up to do. But perhaps this conversation will change perception and literally open our eyes. Hi, my name is ReneeSense, and you are watching MAKEDA, stories of phenomenal women in STEM, in service, in business, in education, in the arts. And I have the unique privilege of introducing you to CrystaL Asige. I don't even know how to start describing you, CrystaL. I should probably say, well, first of all, VIP.
Yes.
In more ways than one.
You know.
Incredible singer, and I'm putting the link down at the bottom of this video so that you can listen to her sing and enjoy the levels of goosebumps that I have enjoyed since I have been listening to you.
Renee.
And an incredible story of life happening.
Yeah.
And then you happening right back.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got to kick it right back.
You weren't always blind.
No, I wasn't. I've born, fully sighted. And it's only when I was about 15 years old in high school is when I started realizing that my eyesight was deteriorating slowly, very slowly, because up to that point, it didn't make much of an impact on my life because I was still, going to class, doing sports, acting in drama, doing poetry recitals, traveling, just teenage kind of things. So it didn't really take any kind of effect in a big way until about 14 when I started realizing it. And even then I was like, well, my dad wears glasses, so maybe it's just a family thing, it's fine, I'll just wear some glasses during class. But year on year, I realized rather that it was getting worse at a very quick rate. And I took myself to the eye hospital with my mum in Mombasa. That's where I'm from, that's where I live. We went together to the eye hospital at Lighthouse, and that's where they gave me a little eye drop. And they told me, okay, well, here's a new pair of glasses, a bit stronger, so use these eye drops for the next month. And then that's it. We just left. They didn't really tell me no one really sat me down and explained to me what was happening or what the eye drops were about. And I guess I was too young at the time to really understand.
Well, how old were you?
I was about 14, 15.
Okay, it doesn't sound too young, but
Maybe that's what they thought. I don't know, because we never got sat down and explained to, really. So I went on, and it's only when I was in the university kind of period of my life in the UK is when I was diagnosed officially with glaucoma.
What took you to the doctors or the GPs to get yourself diagnosed then? What had changed?
So I was in the lecture hall, obviously much bigger than a classroom, and I needed to see the screen from way further back. And my glasses that I used from Mombasa here, they were not, working as well as they should. So I went to the optician just for a normal checkup because as I do. And that's when the optician told me, after a couple of tests, he just said, CrystaL, I don't mean to alarm you, but you need to go to the eye hospital immediately, today. Don't do anything else after you leave here. Go to the eye hospital and check yourself in and get yourself tested, because it looks like your pressures in your eyes are very high. They're in the 40s. And what's normal is around 10 to 15. So I was triple the amount of the normal pressure. What
causes pressure in eyes to triple?
Just a defect in your genes, basically. There's nothing that catalyzes pressure in your eyes. It's just some people will have that defect in your gene, and some people just don't.
What's your last sighted memory?
My last sighted memory?
Or your most significant one?
Wow. So when I first went into my first surgery that I did in 2010 after I graduated from university, it was in the UK. I remember I called my sister and my brothers, who were also in the UK at the time, and a friend of ours to come over and give me support as I went to the hospital. And yeah, that's my last memory of being able to see, significantly well, because I was rolled into the ward and I was, given, the very beautiful attire in the hospital. And I remember, being really nervous and saying my sister and my brothers, I was like, I'm so nervous and I'm, really scared. That's the first time I've ever had any surgery in my life. I'm relatively healthy apart from my eyes. So I remember them wheeling me. I said bye, and they were wheeling me off into theatre. And I asked the nurse, does the doctor believe in God? And she said, I think so. And she said, but don't worry, you'll be okay, you'll be okay. And she was like stroking my face and like stroking my hand, and because she could see I was so nervous. And that was the last memory that I had, because after the surgery, when I came out, my eyesight dropped significantly after that. Though the pressures went down, it was at the cost of my vision.
Wow. Do you miss seeing?
I do miss seeing when I think about it, because usually when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I think is not, oh, I can't see, because this is my new normal now. And so I've kind of come to the conclusion that I'm just going to have to get on with life. So I don't really spend much time thinking about the things that I cannot see, because there's so much that I can still do without seeing. But when I do think about it, when I do get frustrated with myself, for example, if I burn myself on the cooker when I'm trying to cook, or if I fall down a flight of stairs, which I have done a few times, I get frustrated with myself. And I'm just like, oh, CrystaL, if you could just see, you wouldn't have to go through all these things. And that's when I really miss seeing. And I also miss seeing when I think about the fact that I can't see my parents' faces or my siblings' faces. I can't even see my own face. I don't know what I look like, actually. For the last sort of 10, 15 years, I'm not too sure what I look like. When I look at myself in the mirror, I cannot see what is there at all. So, yeah, those are the kind of things that I miss about seeing.
When did it become the new normal? Because, obviously what happens physically happens, right? Mm-hmm. But for it to become the normal, there's a level of acceptance.
Absolutely.
How did you get there? Did you not fight this? I'd imagine you would have.
I did. I fought it for a very long time. A very long time. I was not accepting it. I was like, okay, tomorrow, God is going to give me a miracle. I wake up tomorrow. And then I say, okay, the next day, God is going to give me my miracle. And I kept saying that every day for months on months on months on months on end. And I was like, no, God, this is not what you want for me, because I want to sing and I want to do theater and I want to do film, and those require eyesight. You've put those passions in my heart for a reason. So I used to really fight and I really fought. And every doctor that I saw that would tell me the same diagnosis, I'd be like, no, you don't know what you're saying. It's fine. You guys don't know God like the way I know God, So I didn't accept it for a long time. But the day that I did accept it, that's when I felt a massive peace come over me. Like water kind of being poured into my soul, just free and relaxed, as if God was just saying, I was just waiting for you to just say, it's okay, that you'll let me take care of you, CrystaL. And when I said that, that's when things changed for me. But also I realized that if I complain too much, that's sort of me kind of saying that what God has planned for my life isn't good enough. That's why I'm complaining. I'm like, no, God, you're not doing this thing right, God. Let me show you what you're supposed to do. Let me help you out. I'll take myself to the doctor and, try a new concoction, try and pour some root from the Malawi and some forest somewhere in my eye. So I decided to stop complaining, because it's as though I'm telling God that what He's planned for me is not good enough. And also in Proverbs, I love this verse. It says, a cheerful heart is like medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. That's Proverbs 17:22. So I decided to just be cheerful about it, laugh at myself. Sometimes, just go along with whatever God has in store.
Why do you think you got this?
I think I got it because God probably knew the personality that He's given me, the charisma that He's given me, just as a normal human being, as generally, and He probably knew that I'd be able to get myself out of it with His help, obviously, and also be very proactive, because that's who I am anyway. That's my personality anyway. I'm very proactive. I'm very much like, if we can't do it in you know, this way, let's find this another way. If you can't do it the other way, let's find another way. Like, that's who I am, and that's I think what really helps me kind of get up every single morning and do the things that I do, because I feel like I have, you know, that battery in my back. It's always charged up, always like boom, 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 ready to go. And I feel that God probably knew that I was the person that could help maybe inspire somebody else, or help get somebody else out of the same situation, or just help just spread awareness about visual impairment and the fact that we're not strange. We're not broken. We don't need to be fixed as such. Society just tells us that we do, but actually, I just, like you said at the beginning, I just do things a little bit differently. And just because I'm different doesn't mean that I am disabled. I was saying earlier to someone that, hey, if you don't speak French and I speak French, does that mean that I should call you disabled? Because you can't speak French?
Obviously not.
Exactly. If you can't swim and I can, doesn't mean that I should call you disabled. Because if you're calling me disabled because I cannot see, then I should call you disabled for the things that you can't do as well, and make the, you know, it an even playing field. Exactly. So disability, to me, the word is really negative, and that's the kind of thing I'm trying to change with my music and my channels and things that I do, just try and spread awareness.
CrystaL, what is the correct term for it, or the correct address for someone who is living with a condition such as someone who cannot see?
Yeah, I personally prefer to be called visually impaired or partially sighted, because that's exactly what I am. I'm not completely blind. I haven't lost total use of my sight. I still can see a bit of light, a bit of shadow, a bit of color. If I get really close to something, I can probably see it just a little bit, but it's not total darkness. So some people prefer to be called blind, which is fine. That's no problem. It's, you know, to each his own, but I prefer to be called a VIP.
VIP, standing for?
Visually impaired person.
Now, the thing about becoming a visually impaired person is that you've got some sort of, could I call them superpowers?
Oh, girl, I flex my arms right now. I'm about to seriously do a Superman dance.
There goes the cloak.
Yes. Lots of things have changed for the better, right? My hearing has become like never before. I couldn't even have imagined being able to hear so well. I can tell who's coming by how quickly they walk, the frequency of their steps, or how heavy their steps are. I can tell somebody who's walking towards me who they are, maybe by the smell of their cologne or their perfume. If I hear someone's voice once, I can pretty much remember it for forever.
Wow.
Because I have that ability now. And spatial awareness as well has become so much better for me. When someone, for example, I had a friend drop me home once and he didn't know where I lived. So we were going home and I was like, okay, in about 50 meters, you'll see a roundabout. So just turn left. And he was like, what? Can you see? And I was like, no, as in this is my hood.
Yeah.
And of course I know that there's a roundabout coming up, and I can follow the movement of the car if it goes left, you know, down a bump, up, you know, a particular pothole. So spatial awareness has become really good, and just general superpowers. Yeah, about empathy. I think empathy is a really big superpower. People need to have it.